Jim, good morning. How are you?
Dan, I'm good. What is your costume? What's your Halloween costume?
I'm going to go as a Hall of Famer.
Like in what sport?
Uh, Radio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is that? You gonna go as a Mike?
No, just going as myself. Like I'm just going
Okay.
in as a Hall of Famer. I don't know. Did you ever have a good costume growing up?
No, mine were terrible, bro. We were into it. We just wanted to get out and run around the streets and try to get some free candy.
Yeah.
So we kind of put some stuff together. One time I think I went as Lynn Swan. That was because that was my favorite athlete. So I was Lynn Swan, Pittsburgh Steelers up, helmet, everything.
Did you ever meet Lynn Swan?
I did. It was years later. I think I was in the league and I ran up to him. I'm like a little kid. I'm like, man, I thought I was going to be you when I was growing up, man. It was awesome, man.
But you're growing up in Ohio, so you weren't a Browns fan. You're a Steeler fan.
No. It's funny because I grew up closer to Detroit. So actually the Lions were more in touch, but not a Browns fan, not a Bengals fan. It was something that I think when I was younger, Dan, it was the colors, the black and gold in the 70s of Pittsburgh Steelers. And since then, even though you remember the electronic football game that vibrated?
Yeah.
Okay, everything I had was Steelers stuff. Everything.
Have you gone to a game?
Oh, yeah. So I was at Three Rivers the last year before they moved to Heinz Field to a Cowboys game. And then I went to Heinz Field for a game. So a few of my friends, one I grew up with, played high school basketball with, went to Michigan State, played quarterback or safety for the Steelers. So I went to support him. And then another young fella, Nate Washington, who played receiver, was for the Steelers, was from Toledo, and went to go watch him and support him. So had some blood running through the veins, a little bit of Toledo, Ohio guys playing for my squad.
Okay, how many shoes do you have behind you?
Bunch.
Okay, if I said over under 100.
Over.
Okay. What's the pair you're grabbing if you got to grab a pair leaving the house?
Oh, that's a good one, bro. We like to match the outfits up a little bit now. You gotta coordinate a little bit. You know what? Actually, though, it's a pair of slip-ons that are just these white Steve Janifikowski or something like that, Nikes. That just easy. You just slip them on and just go. No style, nothing else. Just white, go with everything.
Any autograph sneakers in there?
No, unless you want to send me some. You're the Hall of Famer.
You don't have any Jordan autographs or any of that stuff? No.
I do have it's funny. I have a Jordan autograph picture. When I was a sophomore, maybe junior in high school, they had I was in, Ohio, of course, and I was being recruited by Ohio State. So they were playing at the old St. John's Arena, and it was a preseason game. Dennis Hobson was on the team, played at Ohio State. So they were playing, I think, the Cavs. And I got a chance to go in the locker room afterwards. And I got this picture with Michael Jordan after the game, which I still got. Is at my mom's house. That's the only autograph I got. Well, I think I got Muhammad Ali boxing gloves. Yes.
Did Jordan remember giving you that when you played
Hell
against?
No.
He
Not
didn't.
at all.
No, he didn't.
He didn't have a clue. He didn't have a clue. He didn't have a clue.
You didn't mention that to him when you.
I didn't bring it up either. No, I did
not. Okay, help me understand this with LeBron James. He attempted 6 threes a game last year. That's the most in his career. In 3 games so far, he's taking 10 threes a game, and he's shooting 48%. When you get older, you don't take it to the hoop as much as you used to. We've seen a lot of guys. Vince Carter became a 3-point shooter. Jay Kidd became a 3-point. Is LeBron, is this the evolution of LeBron becoming an older player, but still a relevant player?
Yes. But you have to, Dan, because you can't exert that same amount of energy and take that pounding as you used to, even though LeBron is like, from Mars somewhere and still subhuman in what he does at his age. But you can tell over the years that the pounding has taken away some of his athletic ability, especially when he sometimes gets to the basket and can't finish as well as he did in the past. So, as a player, you look at what's the easier way for me to be more effective? But that also goes back into putting in their work in the gym, because if you don't put in the work, then that viable option to step out and shoot threes is not there. And, that was one of the questions in LeBron's career early on in regards to his jump shot. But as he's matured as a player, he has shot a really good percentage from behind 3-point line, but now it's more relevant and prevalent because he is a little bit older.
Yeah, I don't consider him a very good shooter, but he's a scorer.
But he's accurate. But he's accurate when you look at the percentages of a 3-point shooter. He's not a catch and shoot guy that you're going to spot in the corner and he's going to be not. But I tell you one thing, for a ball handler, what he's able to do when guys go under the screen and step back and shoot it, that is a weapon to have that a lot of people sometimes don't have. What makes Steph so good and Kevin Durant, not only can they beat you with catch and shoot, but they can beat you off the dribble. So LeBron being able to handle, step behind the screen, come down and shoot it off the dribble, I think keeps him viable and active and a threat when he has the ball in his hand.
I've told this audience, don't overreact to anything, no matter what the sport is. We want to figure something out before you should figure it out, especially week one. The Lakers, okay, they got an old roster. Russ, he's not really fitting in. Oh, you got Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis pushing each other. I want to wait till after Christmas, and then I'll get a better sense of how healthy they're going to be. What's the workload like? Does Russ know what his role? Russ has never been like that number 3 option. And you go from being ball dominant to what am I supposed to do? And I don't think they're playing good defense. I'm going to let everybody shoot for the most part. Go ahead, shoot those jumpers. I'm fine with that. What is your takeaway from the Lakers' first week of the season?
This is their preseason because they really didn't play the core group together a lot of minutes in preseason. Now, keep in mind, Kendrick Nunn is not in there. THT, okay. Wayne Ellington, which changes the dynamic of your offense because you have a shooter. Yeah. So you don't have a full complement of who the Lakers are going to be. Again, everybody wants to overreact in that first. I don't care, like you said, what sport, but a lot of people just want to be right and say, well, I told you this team was not going to be that good. I told you this was going to happen. We know in this league that 20 to 25 games, you kind of figure out who you are as a team. Now, the outlier in that is if you had some key players who weren't healthy right away that are just now getting back into it. So that number of games may be skewed a little bit more and maybe larger because you got to integrate those guys in to see who you are. But I just think for the Lakers, it's a matter of getting guys on the same page, understanding roles. I think Russ will be fine. The difference is that he's not a catch and shoot player that plays with LeBron. But if you're the Lakers, what do you want? You want to be in a good position come the second half of the season to be healthy, playing well, and ready for the playoffs. Whether that's you're in, in the 5th position or 3rd position, it doesn't matter, I don't think, to the Lakers. They just want to be healthy, playing their best basketball, going into the playoffs.
Any issue with Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard having a little shoving match?
Well, it depends on what it was about, really. If it was more than that, for that to escalate over one play, you can question to say, did it really just escalate over you didn't switch on the backside? Or is it something there? We don't know. We have to keep our eye on it. But not yet. Now, players get into it. You hate to see it, Dan, though, on the sideline. Guys get into it and arguments, pushing matches in practice and stuff all the time. But when it plays out on national TV on the bench with those two players, that's when, all eyes are like, okay, what's the real issue? And sometimes it may be something as simple as a miscommunication, or sometimes it could be some other little thing brewing. So hopefully that's not the case, but it's not something that's an anomaly to professional sports.
He's Jim Jackson, former NBA great. He is a Clippers analyst, also Fox analyst. What did you make of Paul George talking to Steph Curry and saying during the game, hey, let me shoot one from the logo. I'll let you shoot one from the logo. And Steph, they pick it up on microphones.
Yeah, I know.
And Steph shoots the 3 from the logo and makes it.
Don't poke the bear. Just leave that one alone. I mean, some things Steph is going to do. And I think Paul was, challenging from the perspective because he's rolling at the time, The Clippers are coming back, but it's some things. It's just like when I used to play against Mike, it's some things I would say and talk, and then he'll give you that look, and next thing you know, he goes off. And that's Steph too. Steph may not look intimidating. Steph may not talk a lot of stuff, but you put him in that situation, Dan, he's gonna make you pay for it. He did. I mean, I don't know if it was the next play where he stepped to the logo and knocked it in, but
why would you say something to Michael Jordan, Jim?
Well, I mean, because, at the time you didn't care. I mean, you were competing. You know what I mean? Listen, at the end of the day, Mike, if he gives you 40 or 50, so what? He did that to everybody. I mean, at the end of the day, so it's like, we were going back at it when I was in New Jersey. We had beat them, myself, Sam Cassell, and that squad. John Calipari was the coach. We beat them in Jersey. And they were hot. So we came back to Chicago and played, and we were jawing back and forth the whole time. I mean, just going at it. And after the game, Joe Klein, we're walking in the line. He said, man, leave my young fella alone. And Mike said, no, that's my guy. But tell him that's why he's wearing my shoes. You know what I'm saying? Look, mic drop.
Yeah.
And you know what? I kept wearing them for the rest of the year too, Dad. I didn't take them off.
Yeah. MIKE, that kind of mic drop.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I did have 33 though that game, so we lost, but I held my own for at least one game.
I'm trying to figure this out with Steve Nash's approach. He said that James Harden has unfairly been the poster child of some of these rule changes with non-basketball moves. He says he's still getting fouled, but feels the refs are hyper aware with them when Harden has the ball, and he's at the time shot only 9 free throws. Didn't Steve Nash, wasn't he the one that said something about Trae Young, and that's not basketball, the moves that he has, and now all of a sudden James Harden's not getting these calls? What do you make of this?
Well, Trae is not on his team. That's why. What do you mean? I mean, James Harden is. So of course you're going to go to bat, for your player. But listen, man, for years, James has been able to get away. Steph is not shooting the same amount of free throws. I don't think Luka or Trae Young this year right now shooting the same amount of free throws because they got to make an adjustment. The rules were one way. As a pro, you make the adjustment. I remember the hand checking rule came in.
Yeah.
And that was such a different way of playing defense than we were taught. It took time for the really great defensive players to adjust, and they didn't like it. They were picking up fouls because that was what they were accustomed to. And no matter what their reputation was about being a great defensive player, they were still getting foul called. But eventually, they were able to figure out that fine line in between of how to bend that rule a little bit. And I do believe that the players that are accustomed to getting to the line, drawing those fouls, once they play more games and figure out how the officials are calling it, will be able to make the adjustments. You can't be mad now because for so long, you've been getting away with a lot of stuff, getting a lot of fouls that probably weren't fouls. So the tendency is to complain about it a little bit, but pros will be pros and they'll figure it out.
This was a conversation that was brought up on this show when Zion and Ja Morant coming into the NBA, and then we saw them playing. And I remember being asked by one of my guys, who would you take? And I said, well, I would take Ja Morant, the basketball player. I'd take Zion as the draw because Zion's going to, people come out to see him, but I think Ja Morant is the better basketball player long-term because of Zion, that weight. He's coming off foot surgery now. I mean, and he's close to 300 pounds. I know it's easy to make the call now and say Ja Morant, but
it is.
I don't know about Zion bigger picture here. And how long can he stay at a reasonable weight, healthy? Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, but it's a lot of people that are right now patting themselves on the back that said at the time that they would have taken Ja Morant, but it's all relative to the team situation. In New Orleans, they needed that draw.
Yep.
Okay, at the time. They had Lonzo Ball, who was running the point, who they thought in their mind was very complimentary to the team that they had because, of his passing ability. And if all things were equal and he was healthy, that's kind of a once in a generation type of player. And that's not taking anything from Ja, because you can kind of find a Ja Morant in a draft and find a player that could be similar from a skill set, from a scoring perspective.
Yep.
You're not going to find a Zion Williams. You're just not.
Yep.
Okay. Now, you want him to be healthy. Now, looking back at it, I told you so. Well, no, you didn't, because nobody can predict somebody's health. Now, they did have some caution, some warning signs to say that his weight would become an issue if he doesn't handle it.
Yeah.
And up to this point, he's not been able to do that, hence not been on the court. And Ja right now has prospered and looks like the better player long-term because he's been on the court.
Yeah, I love Ja Morant.
Oh, I had the other day against the Clippers. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the thing about it is his level of maturity of understanding. I think kind of him like Dame Lillard, okay, CJ McCollum, small school, Steph Curry. And now Ja, for them to be able to mature over 3 or 4 year period, okay, in school, learn the ins and outs, kind of grow their games, become one of those, I think, from a leadership perspective, they learned how to lead, okay, during their time. So when they came into the league, they were a little bit more mature, a little bit more game ready. And that second year for them, you saw this big jump because of that maturity. Now, in college, as I know, Dan, if you're a senior, you're washed up. They look at you like, you're not going to grow anymore. But I beg to differ, because we look at Ja and his outstanding ability, but it's in between here where he's really grown.
Yeah. Now
he's shooting the jump shot a lot better. It's going to be tough, man.
I think your last year you played 13 games with the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. No, I sat.
Oh, I was there. You didn't get to play?
I was there.
Did you keep your jersey from that last season with the Lakers?
Honestly, the 24 I have it because my mom likes to collect it. I probably would have threw it away just knowing me, just because I didn't play. But no, I kept it because it was, being part of the organization, of course, of the Lakers. And, I got to say, Dan, you talk about being in the Hall of Fame. My jersey's up there hanging in the rafters right now.
Which one?
24.
yeah. Okay.
So about 13 was well utilized while I was there.
Okay. All right. So you're taking credit for Kobe's 24?
Yeah, I'm taking credit. No, what's funny though? Coming into the year, this is what I heard though. Coming into the year, he wanted to change from 8 to 24, but that he had waited too late. Because, they'd already began to market the number 8.
Yeah.
So that's why the following year, he had ended up going to 24. And I was able to get it while I was there. So, but I'm still going to take credit for it.
Hey, great to talk to you. And we'll check in with you during the season. Thank you, Jim.
You're ready. Go Bucks, man.
All right. That's Jim Jackson. That's Ohio State Bucks, not Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Former NBA great and basketball analyst for the Clippers.